For more than 40 years, James Hetfield has been the thunderous voice and soul of Metallica, a band that didn't just play metal, it redefined it. But now, the man behind the riffs and rage is speaking out like never before. In raw, emotional interviews, Hetfield has revealed his true feelings about Metallica's recent music, and what he says might shock even the most die-hard fans. After decades of success, fame, and chaos, he's no longer holding back. James Hetfield is finally saying what fans have whispered for years: is today's Metallica still the band that gave us Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning? In a series of brutally honest interviews, the frontman has begun openly questioning whether their new music lives up to the legacy they built decades ago. From struggling with the band's shifting sound to expressing doubts about their recent albums, James is pulling back the curtain on a conflict that's been brewing behind the scenes for years. It's not just about music anymore, it's about identity, legacy, and the crushing weight of trying to outdo the past. For James, every song they write now lives in the shadow of greatness. The pressure to match the power of their early work has become a creative prison, one that makes every riff, every lyric, a battle between past and present. In his own words, Hetfield admits the struggle to stay relevant while staying true to their roots is exhausting. And for fans, hearing his raw confession may just change the way you listen to every new Metallica song from here on out. James Hetfield is no longer hiding behind the stage lights, he's admitting the brutal truth. Every time Metallica enters the studio, the ghost of the 1980s looms large. Those early masterpieces, Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning, and Justice for All, weren't just albums, they were revolutions. And now, decades later, they've become a creative weight. James has confessed that this legacy, while iconic, has become a double-edged sword. The pressure to recreate that same magic is overwhelming, and nearly impossible. Back then, they were raw, hungry rebels redefining metal. Today, they're living legends, and that changes everything. Inside the band, the tension is real. James has spoken openly about the creative tug-of-war: do they chase past glory, or take bold steps into new musical territory? The fans want another Master of Puppets. But the artists inside them want to grow, evolve, explore new ideas. That internal conflict is constant. Add to that the financial stakes, massive tours, multi-million-dollar expectations, and pure artistic freedom starts to feel like a luxury. But perhaps the heaviest weight of all is James Hetfield himself. A perfectionist haunted by his own legacy, a frontman battling the critic in his head. What we're hearing now isn't just about Metallica's music, it's a window into the soul of a man caught between who he was, and who he's still trying to become. James Hetfield has always been his toughest critic. Even after selling millions of records and reshaping the metal genre, he still finds himself standing in the shadow of his own past. Every time Metallica writes something new, he doesn't just ask, "Is this good?" He asks, "Is this as good as what made us legends?" That mindset has turned every album cycle into a psychological battle. Recording sessions stretch longer, revisions pile up, and the band often finds itself trapped in a loop of perfectionism. For James, the challenge isn't just making music, it's surviving the weight of his legacy. His recent honesty about Metallica's modern work is startling, and deeply human. Albums like Hardwired, To Self-Destruct, 2016, and 72 Seasons, 2023, marked new chapters in the band's journey, but for James, they also exposed emotional vulnerabilities. On Hardwired, he called the material real and raw, but admitted he was terrified to reveal his pain. "That's what people need now," he said. "Especially after the pandemic, you need to be real." His words pull back the curtain on a frontman trying to reconcile two forces: the need for authenticity and the relentless pressure to deliver for millions of fans. Behind the riffs and roars, James Hetfield is a man still fighting to create with honesty, even when that honesty scares him the most. James Hetfield has never been afraid to tell the truth, even when it hurts. In recent years, he's admitted something fans never expected to hear: "I overthink things. Every time I lay down a guitar track, I ask myself, is this worthy of Metallica, or am I just rehashing old Hetfield tricks?" That quiet confession pulls the curtain back on a man still wrestling with the very legend he helped create. After decades at the top, James isn't just battling critics, he's battling himself. The fierce, spontaneous energy that once defined Metallica has slowly given way to a more calculated, almost surgical approach. And James knows it. He's openly talked about how the band's internal chemistry has evolved, not necessarily for the better. What once came from fire and instinct is now built through structure and pressure. The magic of raw chaos has been replaced by the weight of perfectionism. One of his deepest frustrations lies in the sound of their modern music. James has become increasingly critical of the band's recent production style, the overly polished, studio-slick sound that, in his words, tries too hard to be perfect. To him, that perfection kills the soul of the music. Rock and roll ain't supposed to be perfect, he says. It's supposed to be real. That raw grit, the distortion, the bleed-through of emotion, those imperfections were once the beating heart of Metallica. Now, when James listens to mixes that sound too clean, too rehearsed, he doesn't hear a band on fire, he hears a band holding back. That tension between polish and passion has become one of the most difficult creative battles of his career, and one he's still trying to resolve. This comment reveals his longing for the grittier, more instantaneous sound in their earlier albums. The evolution of recording generation has created new demanding situations for the band, while present-day equipment offer limitless possibilities for perfection and manipulation. James from time to time feels this era distances them from the proper live power that made their classic albums so powerful. James has also been critical of the band's tendency in the direction of over-analysis and limitless revisions within the studio. He's admitted that the spontaneous magic that created songs like Creeping Loss of Life and For Whom the Bell Tolls is more difficult to capture, whilst each observe is scrutinized and perfected through more than one takes and virtual manipulation. The pressure to create radio-pleasant singles while maintaining their metallic credibility has also frustrated James. He's spoken approximately the challenge of writing songs that satisfy both business needs and his personal artistic vision, frequently feeling like these dreams are incompatible. Possibly most tellingly, James has admitted to occasionally feeling like a stranger to his own band sound. The combination of contemporary production techniques, advanced playing styles and changed band dynamics has created tune that at the same time is technically talented every now and then lacks the soul and immediacy he craves. The Lars dynamic and creative tensions. James Hetfield has been unusually candid about his creative courting with drummer Lars Ulrich and how their dynamic has advanced over for many years. His recent feedback display ongoing tensions about musical course and creative manage that continue to form Metallica's sound. The frenzy and pull among James and Lars has been a defining function of Metallica considering that their formation, but James has suggested that this dynamic has grown to be more challenging in recent years. He's defined Lars as always pushing for experimentation and boundary pushing at the same time as James from time to time craves a go back to their greater truthful steel roots. James has said, Lars will always say, let's test permits. Push limitations, but sometimes you simply want a immediately up fist within the intestine riff. You understand this quote well known shows the essential tension between innovation and culture that maintains to define their creative manner the drummers have an impact on the band's route has sometimes frustrated James, specifically in relation to incorporating elements that he feels don't serve the songs. James has hinted at disagreements over the entirety from music preparations to production selections, suggesting that innovative consensus is more difficult to reap than it has soon as become. James has also been sincere about how their lengthy history together can both help and restrict their creativity. Whilst their musical telepathy permits for complicated compositions, their mounted patterns and expectations can also restrict their willingness to take real dangers or explore simply new territory. The destiny and reputation of change. In his most current interviews, James Hetfield has proven a growing recognition of Metallica's evolution whilst preserving honest tests in their current place in tune records. His angle famous an artist coming to terms with the realities of getting older, changing and creating music in an extraordinary technology. James has stated that waiting for contemporary Metallica to recapture their 1980s magic is unrealistic and probably counterproductive. He said, you have to threat sucking if you want to keep shifting ahead. I would as an alternative make a report it's hated however sincere than a record it's faux. This philosophy represents a mature method to creativity that prioritizes authenticity over industrial fulfillment. The frontman has also expressed gratitude for the band's durability and continued capability to create song together regardless of his criticisms and frustrations. He recognizes that few bands maintain relevance and creativity for over 4 decades, making Metallica's continued life something to have fun in preference to criticize. James has shown growing hobby in exploring personal subject matters and vulnerability in his lyrics. Although it approach departing from conventional metal subjects, his willingness to deal with his very own struggles with addiction, relationships and growing older has brought intensity to current Metallica albums. Even supposing the musical method has evolved, what do you consider James' sincere evaluation of cutting-edge Metallica? Allow us to realize in the feedback underneath. Make sure to like this video, subscribe and hit that notification bell for extra revealing tune memories. Thanks for watching.